Hello everyone, this is Crota giving you a shoutcast between Yellow and Czech here on Steps of War. We have Czech spawning as the red Zerg over here on the top right hand position. Meanwhile, we have Yellow spawning as the blue Terran over here on the bottom left hand side. So it's Yellow playing as blue. Should be a pretty interesting map. Steps of War, a pretty small map, so it usually lends itself to rather fast gameplay. Now, if you guys already seen this game, I've just been trying to look through a lot of old replays that still work. The most recent set of replays, a lot of them don't work for some reason, so I believe this is part of the patch where the siege tanks still deal 60 damage. Not 100% sure how much damage the Vikings do in that ground mode. Back over here, Yellow putting down a 10 supply depot, looking to open up with a pretty standard economic build. Czech over here on the top right hand side doing one extractor trick in order to start building that drone a little bit more quickly. We'll be able to get up to 13 drones in just a second. There we go, 13 over 18. So using one extractor trick while building that overlord, so this one drone comes out a little bit more quickly, saving him about, I guess, 10 seconds of time, getting a little bit more minerals. Not sure if it's really worth the extra minerals, because I believe canceling a building does require some minerals, so if that's only one extra trip, it may not be worth it to try to cancel that building. Anyways, back over here, Yellow now laying down a racks and gonna go ahead and scout out with this one SCV. This barracks was a 12 barracks, so a pretty standard economic build, and now gonna go ahead and drop down a refinery as well. So refinery, pretty standard play so far. We'll see if he's gonna go ahead and add on a tech lab, or just try to build a factory here, and then put a single marine, preventing any Zerglings from really trying to do any sort of run by. Back over here, SCV making sure that there is no hatchery, no 15 hatchery in play, as now this SCV just going to go ahead and run on in. We do see the spawning pool being built in the back of the base. That would seem to be about a 14 spawning pool, and it looks as though he's trying to save up for a hatchery. Now out comes this drone. So the drone now heading out. Is the SCV going to go ahead and try to stop it? Yes, the SCV heading over here, building an engineering bay, and not allowing Czech to really put down a hatchery. Drone trying to take down this SCV, but even if that SCV leaves now, the engineering bay will be there for quite some time, delaying the hatchery of Czech. So nicely done there. SCV probably going to go ahead and run back home with only 10 hit points left, as that drone was going to be sitting on a fair amount of minerals waiting to put down that extra hatchery. We should have a queen being trained up. Yes, a queen already being trained up. Zergling's going to go ahead and move on over, and Yellow should try to cancel this engineering bay at some point in order to get some additional, get those minerals back. Back over here, barracks completed, factory now laid down, and we have the hatchery of Czech coming into position. We have, what, 2 Marines going to be trying to hold off any of these Zerglings from coming in. Yellow, missing his build order just a little bit, got now supply lock, so not training any SCVs, not training any additional Marines. Needs this supply depot to finish, as these Zerglings now going to try to push on through, unable to push on through, so those Zerglings are going to get a couple kills on those Marines. Down goes one Marine, down goes another Marine, and now that one SCV could have fought against that Zergling and perhaps come out a little bit ahead. No, now we have a tech lab being placed down, so it's is he going to go for siege tanks, or is he going to try to go for Hellions with that infernal pre-igniter? Do not know just quite yet. Zergling now running around on the and making its rounds on the inside of the base, trying to keep track of everything. Marine going to pop out in just a moment as well. One Marine coming. I thought I heard a Marine starting to shoot. Not quite sure where I heard that. There we go. Marine now coming on out, as that Zergling doing a little bit of an engagement. Going to push back away. Marine should probably come back over here, as that Zergling is going to be able to move around much more quickly, as we now have a starport coming in. Starport Hellions with that infernal pre-igniter being researched as well. Infernal pre-igniter upping the damage to +10 for those Hellions against those light units. So Zerglings and drones simply get toasted. A roach warren coming in from Czech though. Recently I've been seeing a lot of roaches being used against Terran players. Terran players really liking the Hellion harass recently in order to push back their opponents, and because of that, roaches have all of a sudden become much more popular once again. The roach, even though they upgrade to 2 food, now the roach costs 2 food in order to be built. It's still a viable unit. Back over here, we're taking a look, and we have a spawn larva coming in, trying to get some more drones as well. Czech Prime probably should start dropping in some creep tumors in order to try to spread out that creep and make these units be able to run up and down much more quickly. Spine crawler also coming in as well. We have a a starport producing a medevac, so that medevac probably going to go ahead and pick up one, perhaps two Hellions, and a couple Marines as well. Yellow doesn't seem to be... Yellow's build order seems a little bit loose. It isn't as tight as I would suspect from a high-level Terran player. So constantly having additional minerals, getting up to almost 400 again, and now dropping on another factory, and now trying to drop down another barracks. Zerglings now with that metabolic speeding upgrade going to move on out, and that medevac only going to have 2 Hellions in its cargo bay so far. Those two Hellions now moving on out as those Zerglings moving on out, but I do not see that those Hellions are going to be able to deal that much damage. Already one spine crawler here, and now with roaches being produced, or roaches, with the roach war down, we should start seeing some roaches in production. No roaches in production yet, so, or actually only one roach, so that Hellion, those Hellions may be able to come in and deal significant damage against those Zerglings. Yeah, one splash damage, going to go ahead and drop down, torching those Zerglings fairly easily. Going to go ahead and move on out again, and now Queen's coming out to do a little bit of engagement, going to shoo away that medevac. Medevac being forced to pull back, sitting at 110 hit points, taking a couple of those rounds of attack from those Queens, with the acid spines from that Queen. Czech Prime now running off of 2 bases, mining off of 4 Vespene geysers as well, so gonna be able to get a lot more gas. We'll see if he goes into a Spire play. Yes, gonna go into Spire play, and that really means Mutalisk. Hellions now coming in, and Hellions just gonna simply get destroyed by that Spine Crawler. Queen and Yellow just really lucking out right there with that medevac down to 6 hit points, able to escape. But really, Yellow is not dealing the amount of damage he really needs to do, and with that Hellion, with that medevac, he invested fairly heavily into that medevac and Hellion, and now it really didn't take down any drones or anything that he really wanted to do. Viking gonna come on over, try to take down this Overlord. One Hellion may be able to get a couple torches onto those Zerglings, and very nicely done. That Hellion moving around, causing a lot of splash damage on those Zerglings instead. Viking also getting a kill on one Overlord, so good job by Yellow. Yellow just trying to clear the skies, making sure that those Overlords don't get any free sight. Overlord now heading back over here. Zergling's going to clear out these destructible rocks. Hatchery wanting to grow, or sorry, a drone going to grow up into a hatchery on this high ground location over here. And Czech sitting on a large sum of minerals as well. So now finally producing a lot of units, and now going into 8 Mutalisks. So waiting for that Spire, and now 8 Mutalisks are going to be in the air. How is that all going to work out? I only see 1 missile turret over here and no missile turrets over here. So the Mutalisks will be able to just run on in and do a lot of harassment and get a lot of map control. Marines being trained up, that medevac and repaired back up as well. But Yellow does not have the Marines. Marine production to really fight off any of those units, and does not have an armor. Oh, sorry, it has the armory down, so has 1 Thor. So this 1 Thor with these 2 Marines is going to be trying to hold off an army of 8 Mutalisks, and that may not work. But anyways, income is Yellow with 1 single missile turret, or 1 missile turret, and that is going to help out one Viking getting just torn apart by this army of Mutalisks up in the air. Mutalisk going to go ahead and try to run around this backside. Thor going to go ahead and do a little bit of engagement. Those Mutalisks should just be able to take down that Thor very, very easily, as long as those Mutalisks spread out. You can see how much damage that Thor is really taking, down to 30. Oh, nicely played. Yellow picking it up with the medevac, making it so that, and then dropping it back down again, saving that Thor, which was down to about 14 hit points. Now going to get repaired once again. Another Thor now being trained on up, and it looks as though Czech's going to try to do a little bit of supply locking. In comes the Thor once again, and now with SCVs repairing that Thor, the Thor unable to really, or those Mutalisks really unable to take down that Thor, and away they go. But in that time, Czech was able to set up a 3rd base, and now getting some roaches as well. So roaches with Mutalisks, a nice combination of air and ground, as those roaches should be able to take down those Marines fairly easily, and there hasn't been that many Marauders that I've seen. Yellow now coming in, had to call in some additional supply drops in order to no longer be supply locked. Drone's going to be transferred on over as Czech training up an additional Queen. Now, Neuroparasite being researched, so we are going to get some Infestors with that Neuroparasite. Anyways, Mutalisk coming in, taking down a lot, or dealing damage towards those Hellions. Hellions were trying to make a run across the center of the map, but those Mutalisks moving so quickly were able to dish out that damage and push back all these units. SCV constantly on, working overtime, repairing all of these Hellions and these Thors. So this whole entire mech army, very, very viable, very, very strong, able to counteract those Zerglings and those Hydralisks on the ground, Mutalisks in the air. Stay tuned for part 2 of this replay between Yellow and Czech here on Steps of War.